Welcome back to the Dreaming and Doing podcast. I'm here today with Mickayla Waldhauser, who is a therapist at LifeSpring Counseling Services. Mickayla offers premarital couples counseling services, which is why she's here to talk with us today about the ever popular topic of finding the partner of your dreams. So, welcome, Mickayla.
Thanks for having me, Melissa. Excited to be here today.
So, Mickayla, we are recording this episode in November, which means that half of the commercials on TV are jewelry commercials for people who are thinking of popping the big question around the holidays. And I think, there's a lot of pressure that couples feel this time of year. I think, depending on where they are, sometimes couples feel pressure around relational milestones. Like, are we buying gifts this year? Are we meeting the parents? And for couples who have been together for a while, that means, like, is this person going to propose? And I think a lot of people have these really dreamy stories in their head about getting engaged around the holidays, being able to show their family members that they're engaged. And there's a lot of pressure around the holidays in particular. But I think there's a lot of pressure that people feel to meet relational milestones, to have a partner, to get engaged, to get married. And so I'm wondering about your thoughts on this pressure people feel to find the one, to find the person of their dreams.
Yeah, it's definitely real, especially around the holidays. As you were talking about some of those, like the way it looks sometimes, I was thinking, just Tuesday, I think it was like earlier this week, I had a session with a client in this, in this stage of like looking for a partner. And we talked about like what that means this time of year. And she actually said, like, I've been doing this for a little while, but I think I expect that things are going to kind of slow down with dating for the holidays because of these, expectations and, like the way that things might come up by starting a relationship. And there's all this, like, yeah, like you said, are we buying each other gifts? Like, are we meeting families if we're just starting out? And there's all these questions. And so like we see a dip in, in that because of the pressure and because of the unknowns. Yeah, yeah, I see it a lot with, like you said, with the ring commercials, and I'm noticing things like that in like my personal life with family, and it's just a huge question. The holidays, I think, over time historically have become a lot bigger than they were even like 50 or 100 years ago. Like everything is commercialized, everything's romanticized, and yeah, there's a lot of expectation around like the magic of it all, and that plays into like relationships and expectations there. So it can be tough whenever those things are not, they don't go how someone expects. Yeah, yeah, I definitely see it.
Yes, and that's going to lead into some of the other questions that I have for you today on this topic, kind of maybe ways that relationships or this particular type of relationship can be idealized. How does that impact us and our expectations? But firstly, you provide therapy services and you also provide premarital couples counseling services. And you've been really, from the time that I've known you, you've always wanted to do couples counseling. But that is not something that everybody wants to do. A lot of therapists are like, nope, not interested in doing that. What makes couples counseling something that you've always been interested in when other people are like, absolutely not wanting to go there?
Hard to put it into words, like why it's really always resonated with me. I think there's a huge part of me that sees what happens when relationships kind of get on autopilot, and it's just something that seems default to some folks. I learned, well, more so like when I was studying for counseling in graduate school, how much like going to therapy and learning about your relationship and yourself as an individual in a relationship that can really improve a romantic relationship. And I figured, if there are resources there, and if there are things that can be done, I feel like couples should look into, getting some support at some point in their relationship. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're made for relationship with other people in communities and, in families and romantic relationships. So there's like this natural draw to, like, to be close to other people, which also means that there's conflict naturally as people are different. So working through that and learning how to live in a relationship in all these contexts, but also, my particular desire being with couples, just really opens a new door to insight and growth and everything that helps to make relationships last a long time, which is good. Like, I'm a firm believer in long-term, like, healthy partnerships, and I think it's good for individuals to go through life with other people. So it's just, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like a no-brainer to me that, like, that should be a thing available to people, and if I could be a part of offering that, I want to do that.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
you and I both know from some of the trainings that we've done that on average, couples wait 6 years before seeking out couples counseling to work on their relationship. And if someone's waiting 6 years, a lot can build up, a lot can happen over a 6 year period of time. So you can imagine that things can be pretty intense if they've been going on that long and we've waited a long time before seeking help. And you in particular are trying to intervene early. You're like, let me catch these people early on in their relationships. From the minute they're saying, I do, to engagement, you're trying to catch them to say, let's start working on some skills now. So talk with me about the reason that you're so passionate about catching couples at that particular stage in their relationship.
But like you said, a lot of times the belief about therapy is that, it's only something that, like, can or should be used when, there are issues that we can't figure out ourselves. Like, whenever, we've tried everything we can, and then that's like the last resort. And by that point, there's probably a lot of damage that has been done. And, there's a lot of hurt and loss about, hope and everything that happens in a relationship. So getting ahead of things is, a lot better to just take a look at, some things in relationships that couples might be ignoring. I would say, like, with this step of marriage, or even, for couples who are, like, wanting to take a step of moving in together, like that, in both ways, we're joining lives together. We're taking two people who came from very different backgrounds. Even if, on paper, their families of origin seem similar, every family has different customs, and the individual brings expectations about, what marriage is and what they should give and what they should get out of it. And whenever there's conflict, sometimes, like, it becomes personal. And I think with premarital counseling, we look at just the different backgrounds. We look at, what each partner is bringing to the table, in terms of expectation, conflict styles, attachment styles, things like that. To just say, like, we are two different people, and it's okay that we're different. And, like, getting ahead of everything, with a facilitator to just talk about how you want to go about handling problems really helps to just minimize the chances of separation. I wish I could pull up there's a statistic on the Prepare Enrich site. Maybe we could pull it up later about the impact of premarital counseling on relationships, that it significantly decreases the risk of divorce. And I don't know anyone who goes into marriage, like, wanting that. So, yeah, it's proven, through evidence that it works, and that, relationships are usually better off when you get ahead of the issues and, just talk about it.
Yes. Now, if we could backtrack just a little bit, Mickayla, I'm thinking about people who are single and they really, really, really want a partner, right? Like, again, sometimes it seems like it feels so painful, right? Like at our office, we have a lot of Love is Blind fans, right? And if you're watching any type of like dating reality TV show, like people really want a partner, and it's so painful to not have the partner that they're looking for. And a lot of times, I think when we're talking about the partner, people are thinking about the kind of partner that I want is this kind of person. They have these particular qualities. And maybe one of the things that we don't often look at is we're focused on the partner of my dreams, right? But maybe we're not
Mm-hmm.
focused on what exactly do I need to be doing to be working on myself, to be focusing on myself, and to make sure that I am ready for a relationship, right? Because we're going to be half the relationship. And whatever we bring to the table is going to have a big impact on that relationship. So I'm wondering, for people who are single, really wanting a relationship, but they don't have it right now,
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that you think those individuals can be doing to prepare themselves and to make sure that they're ready to bring a healthy dynamic to a relationship?
Melissa, I love this question. I love it because I'm working on this with some folks right now. And there's a lot that individuals can do to help prepare themselves and get to know themselves better. Obviously, first, highly recommend to be seeing a therapist regularly, just to be, having a regular time where they can, carve out of their schedule to do the work of getting to know themselves best. Let's see. We talked about values a lot in our office and how important it is to have conversations with clients about their values. So I would recommend, if someone's in therapy, to ask the therapist to do some work about values and, figuring out what the main important things are for them in life. Because if they find, top 3, top 5 values, and that could be things like, I really value security. I value family, community, spontaneity, things like that. Those are the things that are most important to them. And if we have that before going into dating and relationships, we're much less likely to kind of like compromise on those most important things. Because I also see a lot of times, if someone's in front of you and, you really are liking the way things are going, but maybe there are some big issues, you might start to tell yourself, like, oh, like I really value, I use the example of travel. I really value travel, but this person really likes staying home and likes consistency and routine. And, even though we kind of clash there, I really like them. And you know what, maybe I can just, forget about, what's important to me basically, because I really like this person. And then they end up in a tough spot whenever those things come up. So values are great just to like have that, before even getting into anything of like what is most important to me. And then being okay with having deeper conversations with people as you're dating, as you're getting to know your partner better, to see like, do these things align? And if not, what do we do about it? Is there any sort of, is there space for everything to kind of come into play at once? Or do we reassess where we're at? So values is a big one. I would also say attachment styles is a big one as well. That comes up a lot in conflict with the push and pull that we sometimes see with relationships. Maybe in conflict, one person is pursuing and one person is distancing. That's your attachment style coming up. So, yeah, that's another one to look into. Just like history of conflict styles, like, are we conflict avoidant? Do we get loud when we're upset? Do we retreat? Do we cry? Do we appease the other person? Like, what comes up whenever we're feeling threatened or like we're disagreeing with someone else? Just knowing how you show up in relationships is really good, ahead of time, to have a self-awareness so that whenever those things come up, you're able to look at what's going on a little bit more clearly. So there's a lot that people can do beforehand to work on
Yeah.
themselves.